Welcome back to Summit League Basketball Media Day. Rolling on with more Purdue Fort Wayne talk this morning. Proud to be joined by the assistant coach of the Mastodon, Ryan Sims, now in year number 9 for you with the program. Thanks for being with us this morning, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you for having me. First, I just want to say Coach Kaufman runs an annual Coach Versus Cancer Clinic back in Fort Wayne and wasn't able to attend today. And like I said earlier in the other room, I've been here for 9 years, and Coach knows I like to talk and talk good about our program. So he said, Sims, you're going to Sioux Falls, so I'm here today.
Ryan Sims, an obvious choice as proxy today for John Kaufman. Well, that's good. So this is, again, a big part of a thing. You're chatting with media on the other side of the room. You come over here and talk to us for a little bit. Season's just around the corner. Just talk me through what you've seen from your guys entering 2018-19.
Yeah, so far we had a great opportunity to go to Italy and study abroad this summer. We have 8 newcomers, so getting them kind of up to speed. And along with that, they were able to take two classes this summer, play 3 games. So with us going over to Italy, we were able to get kind of a feel for our team and see what we need to work on as a staff.
You know, Coach, there's this guy, Mike Daum, in the league.
I don't think I know.
Yeah, you probably haven't heard of him. But the guy that's played his entire career in the shadow of Mike Daum, but has just displayed an amazing skill set, John Conchar, the type of guy that is good enough to not only lead the league in rebounding one season and then turn around and lead the league in assists the next season. What does Conchar mean to your program, and how do you plan to utilize him this year to move your team forward as much as possible?
Yeah, a big thing with that is when John came in, he could have played for us his freshman year, but we thought that in the long run, if we were to redshirt him, he could put a little bit of muscle on, and he'd be pretty good in the long run. And turns out he's really, really good. Like I said, 3-time Summit League first team. But with John, he's able to play multiple positions. He's able to rebound for you. He's able to, find the open man, and then when you need him to score, he can score for you. So John has been a big part of our success, and I think this year, with us having a lot of newcomers on our team, John is going into more of a leadership role, and I think that will even elevate his game even more.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of a new look, not a totally new look team, but Bryson Scott obviously who's graduated, was a first team all-conference guy last year. That's a lot of scoring, a void that'll have to be filled. You lose a couple of other starters from a group that really, you pretty much started the same guys every game last year. How has that chemistry been coming along so far in preseason? It's
been good that we've been allowed to work with our guys, and like we had 10 practices before we went to Italy, and then now we're kind of in season mode now. But we had 2 guys that were able to redshirt last year that were Division I transfers, and Marcus DeBerry and Matt Holba. They've had Division I experience. They played a lot of minutes at their previous schools, and they're hungry to play. Sitting out a whole season just watching your teammates play and not getting the opportunity. Those are 2 guys that are very, very hungry to get onto the court. And then we have other guys who want to step up into bigger roles, like Dylan Carl. He came off the bench, but played a lot for us last year. He's going to have a big role for us. And then our newcomers, they're now Division I athletes, and they're getting to play in the tough Summit League. So those guys are also anxious, to start the season off.
You talk about your returners or the new guys. It's great, in this day and age of the grad transfer, sometimes it's kind of nice to get those transfers that can practice with your team for a season. You can not only see their strengths and the areas that you want to improve them, but they get a great feel for the guys they're going to play with. Another returner to talk about, Harrell.
Yes.
The guy that he can shoot it. He's had some games where he had a little stretch here and there where he'll put that team on his back at times. What's his role? Do you see him continuing to grow in your program as well?
Yeah, Kaysen is kind of like a silent assassin, I think. He's the first one in the gym. He's the last one to leave. He shoots a ton of shots, like I said, before and after practice, and it shows on the floor. And I think a lot of guys just follow his work ethic on our team because he is the one putting in the extra work. And, once we get into our play, it always shows. His hard work always shows.
This is a team now in John Kaufman's 5th season where you can see the identity has been there. This team that wants to get out, score some points, shoot threes, be aggressive offensively. when you have some turnover in the roster, do you ever look at either tweaking that a little bit, or is it, hey, this is who we are, sort of no matter what the personnel is?
Yeah, and I think what Coach Kaufman has done a good job with is making sure that we have maybe some transfers that are able to sit out. Like we mentioned, Matt Holba and Marcus DeBerry, where we know that we have two guys coming in to kind of fill that void of some missing points. Like Bryson Scott averaged 20 points a game for us last year. Then we had Xavier Taylor graduate. But then we know we have a couple of good guys that are proven that can step right into to our role of playing some solid minutes for us.
Yeah, nice to have guys waiting in the wings like that are part of the program.
In this day and age of versatility, and people will sometimes refer to it as positionless basketball, you talk about a guy like Conchar and his flexibility and versatility that he can bring to the floor. Is that what you've also looked at in those transfers that you talked about with DeBerry from Northern Arizona and Holba from Lehigh? Is that some of the same things that those guys can bring to the floor as well?
No doubt, and that's really big for us is recruiting players that can play multiple positions. A lot of guys can look at it like John Conchar has been the guy for us for the past couple of years, and a guy comes in and say, well, I can't play behind John Conchar because he's playing 38 minutes a game. So being able to swing guys and play multiple positions has been huge for us, because we can put John, say, John, you're going to be the point guard for us today. 10 minutes later, okay, you're going to be playing the three. So being able to have guys play multiple positions, I think makes us really tough to guard on the offensive end, because we can have guys and have different threats in.
When you look at this team from last season, 18 wins again, almost hitting that 20 mark for a fourth straight season, made the postseason for the fourth year in a row, but lost in the first round of the conference tournament. How much does that allow you to have a little more hunger going into this season?
And that's something that we don't talk about much, but we know in the back of our minds, at least as coaches. You always want to reflect on the season before of what we can get better at, and that's what we've kind of been preaching in practice. Kind of finishing, finishing a practice, finishing a drill, making sure that we end practice the right way, because once you get into Summit League play, we know it's a very, very difficult league to play in. And then once you get to that Summit League tournament, it can be even tougher because everyone's playing for one thing. So being able to finish, complete practice the right way, complete a drill the right way, can only help us in the long run once we get to the Summit League.
Yeah. A little bit about your non-conference scheduling. Different people have different philosophies. A couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember, you guys beat a team called Indiana in Fort Wayne. Did you remember that?
I remember that.
Did it last year too? Back to year, so fresh in the memory still.
Fresh, that's right. Those types of games, do you have the high-profile games again? And at the same time, what goes into your non-conference scheduling philosophy to prepare for Summit League play? Yeah,
so we start off at UCLA, which is a huge game. Then you got Steve Alford coached them from and played at Indiana, and they also have a couple of Indiana players on their team. But going off to play a historic team like UCLA, it's helps us get our brand out there, and we're playing a really, really good team. And then we turn around and play Ohio State in that same week, where it's very close to Fort Wayne, and it can be like a pretty big rivalry for our guys to say, hey, we're going to play Ohio State. And then we get to turn around, which I think is a great atmosphere to play in, and is playing at Dayton. Dayton, of course, hosts the first four in the tournament, NCAA tournament, and they always have a great fan base. So starting off with a tough schedule can only help us in the long run. Like I mentioned earlier, the Summit League is a very tough conference, very competitive. So hopefully those first couple games can help us out.
Yeah, a little trial by fire in the month of November, but that'll be good. Like you said, that's where teams can get molded and be ready for a Summit League that looks to be very competitive this season. When you look at the conference as a whole, what stands out to you? What do you see as sort of the makeup of what this men's league is going to look like this year?
Yeah, I think this year, and also just talking to a few coaches, I think that it's going to be very competitive. From top to bottom, from all 9 schools, you don't know who's going to fall up top or drop below, because I think it's very competitive. I was telling a coach the other day, man, you have a really, really good recruiting class, and he says, so do you guys. And I'm just like, I guess everyone has done a good job this offseason in getting in good recruits. But the Summit League is very competitive. Home court advantage, as there's been great fan base, so getting a road win is very tough. So the Summit League this year is going to be a very, very good league.
Well, you've done a great job. Oh, go ahead, Greg, sir.
No, and but things you talk about, obviously people want to take care of their home court, and sometimes what creates separation between the top half and the bottom half of the league is the ability to go on the road and get some quality conference wins. What about your team gives you and the rest of the coaching staff confidence that we can go on the road and find a way to win some tough games in the Summit League?
I think preparation is key, and having guys who have been through it, John Conchar, Case and Harrell, Dylan Carl, they've been through it the past couple years and know it's expected. And then on top of that is just your like I said, your preparation before, being locked in, knowing that this is kind of a business trip to take care of, because winning on the road is hard. You always want to take care of home court, but you're going to have to come away with some road wins to finish on top.
Yeah, I should ask you. So you're from Fort Wayne. You're a Fort Wayne guy, born and bred.
I am from Fort Wayne.
How much more does it? Maybe just a little more ownership in this program, knowing, hey, this is where I grew up. This is my hometown that I'm being a part of. This program.
Growing up, passing by the school almost every other day to go to my high school, and then finally ending up coaching, which is a dream for me to be a college coach, and just being in Fort Wayne, like you mentioned, has been great. And I always joke around it's good that family is really close to you. But then again, my dad was a college coach, and knowing that he's so close, he gives it to me here and there after and gives me tips. So being close can also be tough.
Weighing out the positive and negative.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things we're doing all day, we've asked people in the social media world to send in their questions using the hashtag #AskTheCoach.
Yeah.
A couple for you from around the country.
Perfect.
John Conchar, we talked about him a little bit. Someone wants to know what's the expectation this season now in his senior year.
With John, it's really not an expectation. What John kind of uses is get better today than he was yesterday, and that's been really good for him, knowing that today I'm going to give a little bit more than I did the day before, and that has kind of put him in the position that he is in now to be a 3-time Summit League player.
Yeah, for sure. Greg had mentioned the Indiana upsets the last couple seasons. Good question out there. How has that affected recruiting? That's got to help you from a national perspective to get more people interested in the program.
No doubt. It has only been better for us. First, beating them once and then beating them a second time has really helped from a national spotlight. We can recruit outside of the state, and people will recognize us sometimes solely off of that win. But then having film and showing fans storm the court, showing that we won by 20 this past year, it does help out in a recruiting standpoint. But from that, winning kind of takes care of it all.
Yeah. And last one from the people out there, kind of on the lighter side of things. Someone asked, obviously, the Mastodons is a unique mascot.
Yes.
When you talk to recruits or when you talk to people, what's kind of your go-to quote to explain why we are who we are, or what a Mastodon is, if people are curious about that?
What a Mastodon is, in my mind, is a tough elephant that likes to play in the Summit League and get a lot of wins on the road. That is a Mastodon.
It's good description. Good description.
Oh man, Ryan Sims. Hey, that's going to get the job done when you're sitting in the living room talking about this type of stuff. Good deal.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you taking some time
it
this morning. Yeah, best of luck to Purdue Fort Wayne this season. Yeah, we'll catch you down the road, I'm sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks to Ryan Sims. We'll stick around. We're talking Denver hoops right after this. Brian Shaw and Brad Neal will join us in these chairs, and we'll switch the gears to talk about the Pioneers. That's next.